Welcome to the weekly top 5. This is going to be the start of a new series where we'll look at some of the most interesting ways people are using Gelato Network for automation to expand the possibilities and efficiency of their smart contract processes. Automated rebasing is actually used by a number of protocols. So here's the Gelato task where Kungfuu Finance is doing this. If we visit this contract on FTM scan, we can find exactly where in the smart contract this is being called, and adjusting total supply based on a calculated supply delta value. A rebase token is basically a token whose supply is adjusted every so often with the aim of keeping the price near a certain amount. And this is usually done because rebase tokens are often pegged to another asset, but instead of using reserves, they just automatically burn or mint new tokens in circulation to help steady the price. And in order for that to automatically happen, you're going to need something to trigger that check, which Gelato is doing here in this case every 30 minutes. Dex Finance is a DAO that offers financial products for providing yields, and they're automating a dividend tracker on one of their smart contracts. Their ecosystem basically automates advanced trading strategies to create a low-risk algorithmic trading model. In other words, allowing investors to earn the highest returns with the least risk in a given market. Clearly, automation is pretty critical to this strategy, and here, every 2 hours, they're checking for new claims to withdraw a dividend. That's just one example of the many different ways that DeFi protocols can use this strategy for processing funds. Seigniorage is an algorithmic stablecoin concept similar to the rebase model mentioned earlier, but the rebase mechanism is split into its own token called the share. Visit the contract for this Gelato task in the treasury.sol file. Once again, we're determining based on a calculated supply whether the token minting rate needs to be increased. Because this has to be checked at set intervals, this is being automated on Gelato to run every 6 hours by just passing in a time frequency. A blockchain oracle is something that connects blockchains to external systems, basically allowing data like maybe a market price feed to be sent securely from the outside world to the chain, and in some cases, vice versa. They can also provide a way for different blockchains to communicate with one another, which is known as interoperability. It's important to note that a blockchain oracle is not the data source itself, but rather the layer that queries, verifies, and authenticates external data sources and then posts that information on the blockchain. To accomplish this, an oracle is typically made up of a smart contract and some off-chain components that can query APIs, then periodically send transactions to update that smart contract's data. This periodic update is important in order to ensure that data is current and accurate. Here, the Opium protocol is triggering an oracle update from a resolver function. Rather than just passing in a time frequency, this function returns a Boolean value about whether the function should be triggered, as well as a payload with data that's necessary for it to run, which makes sense since oracles are a pipeline for data. Of course, we can't forget lazy petting a cute NFT character. Some NFT smart contracts contain functions that allow you to interact with them, such as those of digital pets. If you want to make sure that your pet is never neglected even when you're busy, you can automate that too. This Gelato task also uses a resolver to trigger the petGotchis function, which pets each one of the owner's gotchis every 12 hours so no one feels left out. That's this week's top 5. I'm looking forward to see what other ways we'll find that smart contract automation is changing the game.